Nowadays I gotta achieve, had to chase after my dream, tryna be all I can be. Growing up, ain't had no dollars, I would chase after that guala, I was tryna get my cream. Standing on that block, you scared, you just hoping for the best, swear don't catch you on the scene. All my life it been a test, till he came and gave me strength, now they cross it like a beam. You know I see I don't leave it. They don't see my vision, they don't see my culture, they only see my color. It's so sad, I don't know what to do, I hold my brothers. On me accountable when I mess up, but I told them don't judge me. Told them, this ain't no time to father, let's say they tryna come catch up. Remember them days I was bad for a metro, trapping in high school, got kicked out of Thero. I thank God for planting the city me. He could've left, but he shot, he wasn't leaving me. Remember they said they would never believe in me. Now they be showing me love. Holding me down, gotta watch for the station. They enemies, I know they coming to low. I had to stay down and keep my faith. 16, I caught my first case. I seen all them tears rolling down on my face. They gotta be different, this can't be the way. It took a little moment to look her eyes. It hurt my pride to see her cry. I proud myself, I would not stop till I went up. I seen no lie. They see me now, they say you different. I came up, baby, you can see I'm a Christian. Take my time, this time I ain't miss. I told my bro we know how to get let go. Nowadays I gotta achieve, had to chase after my dream, tryna be all I can be. Growing up, ain't had no dollars, I would chase after that guala, I was tryna get my cream. Standing on that block, you scared, you just hoping for the best, swear don't catch you on the scene. All my life it been a test, till he came and gave me strength, now they cross it like a beam. Cool, got a mask up, bubble coat like Alaska, I was on the block, ask him. I was taking I ain't national. Cold weather we live in, that keep for shoes. I was trying to make it cool, now my boy made the news. Yeah, you know I gotta get my chick. Took it like a regular gym. You don't gotta question my living. Whoa, yeah. Got some brothers out here still think. The hood still broke 510. I just wanna save my brothers. I just wanna shout my mom, my brother, my cousin, my all in the family. We was just chillin' my end. My baby brother just took off in the can. I thought this shot was different. You ain't really different, you just let it rap. Me and big guy gon' flash. There ain't no way to Nowadays I gotta achieve, had to chase after my dream, tryna be all I can be. Growing up, ain't had no dollars, I would chase after that guala, I was tryna get my cream. Standing on that block, you scared, you just hoping for the best, swear don't catch you on the scene. All my life it been a test.
Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
What is going on, everybody? Hey. It is the Edge Live Sunday Fun Day, man. You made it. You made it. You are here with us on another Sunday.
Made it despite Snowmageddon.
Yeah. If you are in and around Georgia or any of these southern states, we are in the midst of what we call Snowmageddon, which basically means
apocalypse.
Yeah. All it really means is everybody's just going out and purchasing all of the bread, the milk.
Yeah.
And the eggs.
Yeah, we had to get 1% milk, and the girls brought home a brochet.
Baby, like what do you know what is the reason and the rationale for bread, milk
sandwiches.
and eggs? I mean, like, for real. Listen, if you know why you must purchase bread, milk, and eggs,
staples.
But are they really staples? I mean, what happens if the electricity goes out? I guess you can eat bread.
Have a sandwich. You can eat bread no matter what.
Like a bread sandwich?
A milk sandwich.
A milk sandwich? Is that what?
Well, you can have milk and peanut butter, you don't have to warm it up.
Why eggs?
Eggs? I guess if you want to bake a cake. I mean,
I don't
French
know.
toast.
I don't know.
I mean, you can always, eggs last for a long time. They don't have to be refrigerated, like other stuff. Okay. So, maybe if the power went off after you come out, you can have an egg. You can have a scrambled egg. I'm really not sure about the egg.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you have a lighter, you might be able to
warm it up or something. Like, can you scramble it or?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to try it now. I'm all curious.
Right. Well, anyways,
welcome
to the Edge Life, man. Today is going to be an amazing day as we got something planned for you today. We're going to be talking about love is not enough. Let me say it again. Love is not enough. And
sorry to bust your bubble.
Yeah.
As Carson would say.
Exactly. I know a lot of people probably wondering what in the world we're talking about, but we're talking about, when you and your partner, you're married, you're in this relationship, like is love, it has to be more than love, right? It has to be more than love that's going to keep you. So today, we're actually going to give you 3 super powerful tips to help you and your spouse stay engaged in your relationship so you can, relationship strong. I made that all up right there, relationship strong. But we definitely want them to relationship strong as we move forward. What do you think?
Yeah.
She gave me I don't know where you got the relationship strong from, but
I mean, everybody uses that strong.
Yeah, and we do want marriages to relationship strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want them to be strong.
Hashtag be strong.
Be strong. Absolutely. So listen, before we start talking about today, we do have a sponsor for today's session, do we not? I think we do have a sponsor. Yeah, we do. We do have a sponsor for today. Who is the sponsor?
Today's sponsor is Wednesday Apparel. That's right, Wednesday Apparel. We wear what we are because we are winners. If you want your Wednesday Apparel, you need to check it out at WednesdayApparel.com. That's WednesdayApparel.com. They got them in every color under the sun, for real. So you got to get your Wednesday.
I love it. You got to wear what you are, and we are absolutely winners. So check out Wednesday Apparel, WednesdayApparel.com. Go check them out. Now, honey, last week we had, one of the most, I don't know, it may have been my favorite podcast ever. Like, that was like a really, really powerful podcast.
It's definitely. I think whenever we have had the opportunity to connect with people who just are transparently share, their lives, those are always very, very powerful. I think about the last several, Dr. Harwick, Carmelita Boston, and then, John Winston. He held it down last week and reached out to his wife. Shouts out. They just had a new baby.
Yeah, congratulations, Winston.
Congratulations, Winston. Congratulations. Absolutely. That makes 5 baby girls. Y'all, if I had their Cash App, I would put it in the comment section because girls cost, y'all. They cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Girls are not cheap. But congratulations to the Winston. I know his wife, Denise, said that one of the things that we wanted to do was to be able to have her kind of share what it was like from her side, her perspective, because she stayed with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that level of faith like,
And for those of you who did not see last week's episode,
you just have to go watch.
First of all, you need to go back to YouTube, check out last week's episode. We talked to a good friend of ours, John Winston, and he shared his story. And his story
Victory
is
Apparel.
Yeah, his story is super, super awesome. John Winston is an artist, a founder and CEO of Victory Apparel. But he also has a powerful story of redemption. He shared with us his story, and part of his story includes a manslaughter charge. Part of his started off as a murder charge. It also he talked about his stint in jail and prison and things that were happening while he was there. He talked about the favor of the Lord, but all of those things to get him to this place that he's in right now. And you all, this is like the ultimate story of redemption. I mean, literally, it is a movie. I know John is in the process of writing a book right now about this story, and you all definitely need to go check that out. If you have not seen it, make sure you go over to the YouTube page right now and check it out. Edge Life 7 podcast inside of YouTube. Go check that out.
Yes, and you can find John's music at Chosen, CHOZZN, on YouTube. So definitely check that out as well. And you want to get you some Victory brand apparel for sure.
Yeah, hey, that Victory brand apparel is popping. I mean, do you have the Victory? That is the question. Do you have the Victory? I have the victory.
Devil
You
defeated.
have the victory. Hey, man. Hey, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Check out Victory Apparel, Victory the brand with my homeboy John Winston. Make sure y'all go and check out the last podcast as it was popping, But listen, I don't want to hold y'all because we got another podcast tonight in which we are talking from the topic of love is not enough. Love is not enough. So let me ask you all, like, when we say words like love is not enough, what do you think that means? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a pretty broad topic right there. Like, what do you think it means when we say love is not enough, especially from the context of marriage? And part of the reason why we're asking you all, like what does it mean? What are you thinking? What do you think that it means? A lot of times, especially in marriages, you know, we talk about love, right? And it's very interesting because people love differently. You know what I'm saying? And if the way that I love is different from the way that you receive love, guess what? I could be talking the right thing, saying that in the wrong way. And if you're saying the right thing in the wrong way, it's still wrong. You know what I'm saying? So when you're inside of a relationship, can love be the end all and be all? You know, when we hear couples, especially those couples who are, you know, they're newlyweds or they're in they're so in love. But the amazing thing is it has to be more than love.
Absolutely. So, you know, love is powerful for sure.
Yes.
It is love that conquered all.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's agape.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we have, you know, human love, love for one another. And, you know, we have to be conscientious that, like you said, love is definitely, there's a language to it. Dr. Chapman writes the 5 love languages. They have that for adults in relationships as well as for your children. And like you said, you know, you can be doing one of two things. You can be speaking the right thing the wrong way. You can be speaking the wrong thing in the right way.
and that, honestly, that might be even worse when you're speaking the wrong thing the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like, because,
well, I mean, you know, in a sense of a love language, you just miss each other.
Yeah.
So you may be speaking the wrong language. You may be doing it with all of the right intentions.
Correct.
So, and many times I would think that is what we find more so. That they're just not speaking the right language.
Right.
But they have the right intent.
Right.
You know, I've never, you know, it's very rare that we come across a marriage situation, and maybe that's because they don't come to counseling if they're in that place. You know, it's very rare when there's someone who literally is just, you know, saying the right thing and for the wrong reason.
Right. Most people do have the right intentions. You know what I'm saying? They really do. You know, at the end of the day, there was a reason that, you know, they got together in the first place. There was a reason that they walked down the aisle. You know what I mean? But there's tension. And with any relationship, you know, there's gonna be some tension sometimes. Sometimes there's gonna be, you know, those valleys that people are in. But the interesting thing is those couples who learn how to manage that valley place, that low place, they tend to really they're able to work through things and able to really thrive even in the low place.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just really listening beyond sometimes the actions and really hearing into what's being communicated, because it's not always in words. We've missed each other.
Yeah.
I know for me, my number one love language is acts of kindness.
Right.
You know, and for Phillip, he always likes to give gifts.
Yes.
And for me, that's like at the bottom.
Right.
So, you know, early on, we would miss each other a lot. And I would recognize, I mean, obviously, if someone is giving you things,
right,
they care and they love you. But what was more meaningful, what really showed me that, what really indicated to me that someone loved me based off of my personality, the way I was raised, all of those sorts of things, was someone, you know, doing.
Right.
You know,
right.
acting.
Yeah, it's funny. I know a lot of times when I'm doing marriage counseling or what have you, I utilize the example of, dishes, and I use that a lot. I know for you, if you would be much more receptive, feel loved, if I washed the dishes or folded some clothes, or like things that traditionally I'm probably not in my mind going to want to do, but I know, and I've learned that many times that's how you receive love from me, right?
Yeah, it's when someone like takes something off my plate.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate, he'll get me stuff or whatever, and I certainly am appreciative
Right.
of those things. But when, somebody, whether it's Phillip or one of the children, takes something, quote unquote, off my plate, I really feel loved, because they're like, I feel like you see me,
right,
you hear me, and you're responding.
Yeah, and that right there, because I think that's a huge thing, being able to be seen, to be able to be heard, and to be able to be responded to, right, in the right way. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it's so important to know and understand how to effectively communicate with your spouse. What are the things that your spouse enjoys? What are the things that your spouse needs, right? Because when your spouse's love tank can be filled up, you're going to be filled up as well. You know what I mean? It's this reciprocal thing. It's like the old saying goes, you can't build a bridge from one side. If you're building a bridge, that bridge has to be built from both sides. So when you effectively are filling up your spouse's love tank, guess what? You're also going to be filled up in return.
Yeah, you can't give anything that you don't possess. For sure. So that's, the language of love is extremely, extremely important.
Yeah.
And, if you want to maximize your relationship, you got to be communicating, but you got to be communicating in a way that the other one is understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. For those couples who are watching right now, maybe their spouse isn't necessarily getting it. You know what I mean? Like, they've tried to share with them, or they've tried to, share what their language is, but their spouse isn't really getting it. Are there ways that you can share with, those folks who may be watching and or listening that might help them, so that they can be fulfilled, and their relationship can be fulfilled?
Well, I would say many times it's because you're not actually communicating. You're not really telling them. You just have this expectation. So that's usually the biggest issue.
And we're going to talk about that a little later on, aren't we?
You just have this expectation that they know.
Right.
And what is it? He-Man says knowing is half, or is that G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, G.I. Joe. Knowing is half the battle.
That's right.
But how can I know unless someone tell me?
That's right.
I don't know what I don't know. And it may, to the other person, it seems completely obvious. But that doesn't mean that to your spouse the need is obvious.
Right.
Or that they may see the need, but they're clueless about how to meet it. And you want to be all, stank-faced and angry and bitter and whatever else because your need is not being met, but you haven't communicated it.
Right.
You have to communicate.
So there's something then to being able to like literally share it with your spouse, right?
I mean,
share
you
with
should
them
be able to share
you
anything.
You should be. But let's just be honest. There are a lot of couples that we know who don't.
And that's why love isn't enough.
Right.
There's, but real love, like the true love, the agape love, the deeper love, it's sufficient, but you got to be all in. I mean, love requires you to be all in.
Yeah.
And you don't have any selfish ambitions. I was talking to someone the other day, was talking about how their spouse never puts anything, and we're back to dishes, never puts anything in the dishwasher. We'll come home from work and just sit, lunch, I guess, like lunch stuff from lunch or whatever, and not put it in the dishwasher. After dinner, not put it in the dishwasher. I'm like, well, did you say something? No. After all this time, they should know. Well, obviously they don't know.
Right.
Do you really think they're being that spiteful?
Right.
Like they've been doing it all this time to be spiteful.
Right.
All these years. So obviously there's some kind of logic behind why the spouse is not putting stuff in the dishwasher. So what is that? Did you ask?
Right.
Did you mention, hey, you can put that in the dishwasher? Or you don't have to be nasty about it, but you want to be angry. Like you've been angry for like years.
And you haven't even said anything.
And that's the other person has no clue.
Yeah.
It's like the hanger in the window. The hanger on the curtain rod.
Yeah. You want to tell them about the hanger on the curtain rod?
It was a test. It was only a test of the emergency broadcast. Had it been a real emergency, it would not have stayed there for like 6 months. Yeah.
We know somebody who actually had a hanger and they kept it there for a while. Anyways, we know somebody.
On a curtain rod.
On a curtain rod. Yeah, we know somebody.
In the bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah, we know.
I was just curious to see how long it would stay. Somebody's place.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's give them 3 tips, right? 3 tips today. 3 things specifically that you can do today. 3 things that you can do so that you can make sure that your love it is enough, right? It is enough. So the first thing that we want to share with you, it's never really about the dishes. Very true, Amy. Very true. Very true.
It's not about the dishes.
It's never really about the dishes, and that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
why
right?
we keep talking about the dishes because it really can't be about the dishes that much, y'all. Yeah.
So here's tip number 1. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Tip number 1. Be selfish.
So you're all like, okay, first of all, I got a problem with these people. First of all, they say love isn't enough. And then they want to come around and say that their first tip is to be selfish.
Be selfish, yes.
Well, why do we say this?
Here's the reality. If your tank is empty, you cannot give anything out. I used to fly on an airplane every single week, and every time I got on the plane, they would implore you that if there was an emergency, to put your oxygen mask on first before trying to put someone else's oxygen mask on. Why did they say that? Because you are not going to be helpful to anybody if you too are passed out.
If you stop breathing, who can you help?
Right.
Yeah.
So this whole thing about being selfish, like you literally have to be selfish sometimes. And when we speak about selfish, we literally mean being able to take some time for yourself to fill up your personal tank. You want to talk about some of the things you do?
Yeah, I mean, we're really talking about self-care, not selfish in the way that, you would probably define it. But self-care is extremely, extremely important in a marriage. And I know I neglected self-care for, many, many years, especially in the years of childbearing and child rearing.
Right.
I just I lost myself in what I did and didn't really know who I was as a result. But when we do self-care, when we focus in on self, and that's what we mean by selfish, when we focus in on self and we understand ourselves because we take care of ourselves, because we know ourselves, we can be better for others. And so, some of the things that I do, I mean, I understand, like, for me, it's very important for me from a mental health standpoint to be physically active in some kind of way.
Right.
And it doesn't really necessarily matter how, because I enjoy lots of different physical activities,
Right.
but, I need to do that. So for example, right now, shameless plug, I am doing the 2000 burpee challenge for Stop Soldier Suicide. So just an awesome way. It's like checking the box for a lot of things for me.
Right.
Mental health. I'm a mental health professional. And so obviously mental health and awareness and advocacy is extremely important. You know, we have people in our family in the military. Yes. I understand the need to spread awareness about soldier suicide. I think we lose 6,000 members of our military every year to suicide, and even one is too many. So anyways, and so it's a way for me to get some burpees in. It's also a little bit of a challenge. I like challenges. That's important for me to feel challenged. I like new, exciting adventure. I'm a risk taker, so I need something always to challenge me. But I didn't fully know these things or understand these things about myself in the season of our relationship where I neglected me.
Right.
And I didn't really know me. And so, you know, I thought it was selfish at first, like in the negative sort of way. But I realized, like, I'm so much better, you know, for my squad, for my tribe.
Right.
When I do me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's one of the things that I do is finding, you know, something to be engaged in, something that challenges me. I need physical activity. You know, and other than that, I don't really have many vices. You know, I don't really, you know, I don't need to go to the, obviously, I probably need something done with this hair, but y'all got the messy bun on Sunday. It's Snowmageddon, y'all, so this is what you're getting today. So,
yeah, well, you know, it's really awesome. You know, the one thing I know about me, I've watched my wife, especially over the past couple of years, really begin to take those selfish moments, self-care moments, in which, you know, she's working out, or, you know, she'll come home. Like it's funny, our granddaughter's with us right now, and she heard this morning, it was doom, boom, doom, boom, doom. And she's like, what is that noise? And she said, Grandma's jumping again. Grandma's jumping again. But again, I know as a husband, you know, for it, that's important for my wife to have those moments of self-care, those moments, whether she's doing burpees or riding a bike, or, you know, just doing some kind of jogging, or just going out, doing the rowing machine, or going outside and going for a walk for a few months. It's she needs that time to really disconnect and just be in oneness with herself, right? That, like, if and let me speak specifically to husbands, like if we just for a moment could not be so, and y'all please hear me, so needy, so
he said it, I didn't, y'all.
Yeah,
he said men are needy. I just want to clarify that. He said, so don't send me no hate mail, men's.
Listen, well, it's interesting because many times, from my experience, it's, you know, and I know I want what I want when I want what I want, right? So it's like, hey, I need this right now. Instead of sometimes needing something right now, giving that time is, man, it's so much more refreshing, because I know personally for me, when I know that you are in a good place, or are happy, or are energetic, or are full of life and vigor, guess what? The entire house benefits from that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The entire house benefits from being selfish. Personally, I know I take my selfish moments also, whether that's reading a book. And I mean, some of y'all know I love reading. I just do. You know what I'm saying? So if it's reading a book for 30 minutes, or, you know, sometimes I'll just, you know, get my mind together and just, you know, go do something, right? Whether it's riding a bike. I mean, I will get on my bike every now and again, y'all. I will get on my bike.
I know you also like to just, you know, like today you said, hey, you wanna go for a drive? And I'm like, no. You know, like, you can go for a drive. Yeah. He likes to go. He may have nowhere he knows of that he's going, but to go. And so I'm like, go, you know.
You need that time.
And sometimes, honestly, like, I will say no to certain things, like when he asks me, because I've recognized that he needs to go. Like, he needs to have a break. He needs to check out in the moment. And so we have to encourage those behaviors. and support those. And again, not be needy or not be greedy with someone else's time, because you know that the reciprocal is definitely going to be a blessing to that individual.
Yeah.
And it blesses you too, but you don't just do it so that you can get something in return.
Absolutely.
So.
No, and honestly, I know even for me, man, I love when you take those moments.
Yeah,
because
I love watching you. Like, you know, I know if you're here in the office, like reading, like,
I
you get a new book,
it.
and I know you're going to be in the room with your headphones on, and the blue light's going to be going, and I'm just going to pull the blanket over my head and turn to the other side, because you know he's in the zone. He's trying to do something for himself, and that's so important, because the better he is for himself, the better he'll be for me.
Yeah.
The better he'll be for our children, the better he'll be for the purpose that God has given him, you know, in this world. And I just wanted to recognize Latrinka has said that she's just retired from the military. So thank you, Latrinka, and the Lees for your service.
Absolutely.
And your son's service as well. And all those that serve. And I'm sorry about your loss. And I wanted to do it to spread awareness. I lost a friend when I worked at the sheriff's office. I share a video about that, who was a sniper and in the military, and you know that was very impactful. So I'm happy to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I do to quote unquote be selfish, find a cause to engage in. You know, if you don't know what that is, you've lost touch with yourself. And so I just want to really encourage you, like, get to know yourself again.
Right.
You know, drive to work in the silence. Probably not tomorrow, but you know, just go somewhere and be quiet and listen to yourself. Like, ask yourself, you know, what do I enjoy?
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we get so caught up in the doing.
Yes.
That we forget who we are.
Especially within marriage. You know, you're so busy doing, you know, doing the day-to-day things, so busy with the kids, so busy taking care of everything else that sometimes you do forget who you are.
Oh, absolutely. You know? And you don't want to have this like screeching halt or crash moment where something changes in your life. You know, children leave, they're going to leave. You know, that's kind of the goal. You lose your job and you don't know who you are, because all of who you are was about what you did.
Right.
But you don't really know yourself. Right. And I think a lot of times, like in marriage, that's why people grow apart. Because they literally have lost themselves in the process. And the two become one, but it means that you had something to bring to it.
Right.
The oneness is unity. And if you lose everything about who you are, that's not what God's intent is. He wants you to bring your whole self into your marriage. That's and in order to do that, you have to take care of yourself and know yourself.
That's right. So the question that we pose on the screen, just for everybody watching today, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing specifically to be quote unquote selfish in the relationship? What are you doing right now to have those self-care moments inside of your relationship? We would love to hear from you. Put that inside of the comments box and let us know, because at the end of the day, listen, the better you take care of yourself, the better the family ultimately will be taken care of, because you are full, right? Remember what we said earlier. You can't go anywhere if your tank is empty. And we don't want any marriage, any individual to be, you know, riding on fumes. And there are many of us out here who know what it feels like to be out here riding on fumes. And that's definitely not a good thing.
No, and unfortunately, like, people don't really know themselves before they get in a marriage. You know, and that's part of what we try to make sure in premarital counseling is that people know themselves.
Yes.
They understand, you know, who they are and how they show up. And that's so very important. So, you know, get to know yourself. If you're single, this is a good one for you too. Make sure that you are, you know, taking care of yourself, making an investment in yourself, that you understand you, so that when God does bring you to that place and bring you into your marriage, you can offer. You have so much, you know, that you can offer because you fully know you.
Right. So what are you doing for self-care? You got to think through that right now. How are you taking care of yourself? How are you filling up your tank? Second thing we definitely want to talk about is this. You got to be engaged, right? You have to be engaged in any relationship and or marriage if it is going to work. And when we speak about being engaged, we literally talk about being observant, knowing and understanding what's happening with your spouse. You know, earlier, just a second ago, we were talking about those self-care moments. I know when my wife needs a moment. Yeah, we have to be able to recognize those things and not be so oblivious that we're just, you know, we're not even seeing things when they're happening right in front of our face. Like literally, if your spouse, if they're literally getting ready to blow up, somebody has to intervene. And hopefully that's you to be able to intervene and say, hold on a second. I'm engaged in this thing. I understand what's happening. You, my friend, you need to take a 20-second time out and just go somewhere. And as my friend Charles Wallace says, you got to go sit down, right? Go woosah for a minute. Because again, ultimately, if you're in this thing together, if my wife is going through and she is at her wit's end, guess what? I feel that. We're connected in such a way that I feel that, and I know I may not even know exactly what's going on, but I can tell you this: I know something is going on, and if you know something is going on, then you have to be able to do something about it. So we gotta be engaged. We gotta be engaged when we do that.
Yeah, and you know, I think one of the things that's really important about engagement, it's not just when something negative happens or when it's necessary for you to connect, but to be engaged, you know, all of the time, on various different levels. You know, communication is engagement, and there are so many different ways to communicate other than just words. But knowing your spouse is a way to engage, you know, asking questions. And I think we stop doing that after we finish courting. You know, we put the ring on and we stop asking questions. We stop being curious.
Right.
The moment you stop being curious about your spouse in a marriage is the moment that things are going to begin to unravel. You have to be curious.
Yeah.
It's the curiosity that will keep your marriage alive, keep your marriage vibrant, keep you vibrant. So it's really so important. And a lot of times, you know, you say, oh, well, he just doesn't listen to me or what I say. Well, the only time you're engaging is when there's a problem. Like,
that's good.
You know, we all get mad, upset, or agitated when somebody only comes to us when they need us, right? That same thing can happen in a marriage. We may not realize it.
Right. That's good.
Because we live under the same roof and we're working together to make things happen. But if we're really only communicating when there's a problem, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem. And no wonder you can't be received because you don't show up for anything else.
Right.
I mean, how can I receive from you when you don't show up? You don't show up for anything else.
For anything else, you know. And it's funny, and I'll go ahead and just tell a little secret. You know, I think a lot of times, especially with men, we say things like that's AKA the nag, when the nag is happening, right? And once the nag begins happening, the first thing that happens in many men is the shut off. Right? It's like, I don't even want to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that right now. You know what I'm saying? So going back to your point, if that's all that you're getting, well, obviously there's an issue, right? There is no communication, because the only time you're communicating is when it's, you know, something wrong, and then there's the shut off. So guess what? Nobody's talking about anything.
Well, it gets perpetuated when you become responsive in that moment.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the behavior that you see being exhibited by the spouse, don't reinforce it. Like find a way to make sure that you're filling the tank.
Absolutely.
That you are engaged other than in that moment. It's just like with a child. Like if, you know, Carson wants candy, like she so often does.
She likes candy, yeah.
And she starts crying and throwing a fit, and then I give her candy.
Right.
What's probably going to happen next time?
Yeah, she's going to cry. You
right. So if, the husband is fussing and carrying on, or the wife is nagging and carrying on, and, then you finally get up and do this, or you fulfill whatever the request was, well, over time, that's just going to become the way you function with each other.
And that's how you get the response.
Right. And that's so unhealthy. And that's why I said you have to be curious. You have to be engaged all the time. You have to ask questions.
Yeah.
We want feedback on our job from our employer about how we are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many of y'all want that? How many of you appreciate that? It is scary, and you usually probably have excuses as to why you're not fulfilling things. But you want to hear that. You want to know that, it's a job well done.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what about your marriage?
Absolutely, absolutely. When is the last time that you and your spouse actually had a conversation about these kinds of things?
Being a good wife?
Yeah.
And don't, you all are together for eternity. Be respectful, but gee whiz, don't lie to folks.
Right, right.
You don't have to lie. I mean, if you're in a marriage and you're constantly afraid that you're going to hurt the other one's feelings, well,
that's a problem.
That's a problem, because you're only communicating probably when there's a problem.
Right.
So, and you're not doing enough affirmation. So therefore you're not engaged. So.
You just brought up a huge word, which is affirmation. And I think in every relationships, affirming your spouse, right, in the way that they receive affirmation is a huge thing. You know what I mean? I don't care who it is. People love to know that they are doing a quote unquote good job, that they are appreciated.
That's what you should reinforce.
Absolutely.
Not the negative behavior.
Right. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, there is something so powerful about you know what, thank you, or you know what, that was amazing, or there's something so powerful about that, and it's so simple.
When something is done, even if it's not exactly your love language, but the intent behind it, affirm, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for that. Thank you for, we'll go back, loading the dishwasher. Thank you for picking the kids up. Thank you for thinking about dinner. Anything.
It's simple things.
Appreciation, it goes a long way. Gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude is a huge component. It's like the key component to our happiness. So if you want to maximize your relationship and be in this thing for a long haul, be grateful.
Yeah.
And engagement requires us to be grateful. That's the whole component in our vows. The good and good times.
And in bad.
In sickness.
And in health.
For richer.
And for poor. Right.
We don't want to hear all those things. Not the second part. No. We just want to be in good health and rich. And
strive it, right?
We don't want to hear in that other stuff.
Yep. So let's do the last one. Let's do the last one, because the last one's actually one of my favorites, and it's literally being able to release from expectations. Yeah. Releasing from expectations. What are we talking about when we say release from expectations? Because this is a huge one.
So, think about it. Go all the way back, especially little girls. You have this Prince Charming in your mind, and how your wedding's going to be, and the happily ever after that the marriage is going to be, and all these things. And those are called expectations.
Yes.
And life doesn't always meet the expectations.
That's right.
But here's the thing. Life can exceed the expectations when you can tear down your expectations for God's excellence. And so, marriage is a place where God's excellence can definitely show up if you release your expectations. You have to literally release people from your expectations.
Yeah. When
you hold them to what you expect, you limit them from what God is calling them to do or expects for them or has for them, however you want to look at it.
That is so good.
My expectations can never measure up to what God has for my spouse, period. And so as long as I want to be selfish and hold on to that expectation of them, then I'm limiting them.
Yeah.
And as a result of limiting them, going back to number one about self-care, then I'm limiting us. I'm limiting our marriage. I'm limiting our ministry.
Yes.
I'm limiting our children. I'm limiting our finances.
Absolutely.
I'm limiting our intimacy, all of these sorts of things. So let your expectations go.
That is so powerful. Listen, let your expectations go with your spouse. Listen, let your expectations go with the children. Let your expectations go with the job. Like release the expectations. It will release the stress and the weight from off of not only them, but it'll release the stress off of you. Because there's no expectation there anymore. It's literally, God, what would you have for this individual? What would you have for my spouse, for my child, for the work, whatever? God, what would you have? Because the thing that we need to know and understand is that what he wants for us is better than we want for ourselves. So when we can release our expectations and allow his expectations to be front and center, man, that's when the goodness gracious can really happen and take forward.
Right. Just because it doesn't meet your expectation doesn't mean that it's not going to meet the outcome. People, why is it that we want people to be clones of us? Because it'll just be a boring world. Why do we want people to do everything line by line, process by process, our way? Our way is not always the best way. There are a million different ways to come to the same solution, conclusion,
right,
without it being your way.
Right.
And in fact, like, if you can see that there's a different way, it causes you to grow too. So you've got to, I've found this not just, in our relationship, but, with our children too. Like, people, listen, you know why he don't load the dishwasher? Because you were like me. I was stressed out the other day, and I was trying to use it kind of as a teaching. Hey, we got a new dishwasher. You got to do this. You got to do that. Da, 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 da. But I was stressed. And so I know it was coming off as me just like being controlling and wanting everything in the dishwasher like the way that I want it. But what will happen is, like, my expectation will be too much. And so that'll just cause everybody to shut down. Like, forget it. Like, I can't ever do anything right. It's always wrong. He, she, da 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 da. So if your spouse is like checked out and not engaging, it may be because of your expectations.
Come on, talk about it.
Not because they don't love you.
That's right.
Not because they don't want to be in this relationship. But keep piling on your expectations, and over time, you will weigh them down, and with a burden that it's too big for them to bear, because they cannot meet your expectations. Your expectations are faulty. There's no grace in them.
That's good.
So you have to let them go.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing, and it's already been said, but when you release your expectations, they can flourish in the expectations that God already has for them. And at the end of the day, do we want people to flourish in our expectations? Or do we really want God's expectations and the things that he has in his plans? Do we want those things to really come out and manifest? Because there is so much freedom when there are no expectations being placed on people, and they can flourish in the gifting and the calling and in who God called them to be. That's a beautiful thing right there.
Yeah, and I would just challenge you to understand that people cannot flourish in the little boxes that we try to put them in with our expectations. It's in the environment in which God created just specifically for them. We're all an anomaly. And so the place that people thrive is the position that God has for them. And so it's just like those of you who like plants. I do. I can't put my succulents in the same environment, in the same pot with the same soil that I put my orchids.
Right.
They can sit in the same sunlight. They all need the sun. Come on, somebody. but the container.
That's good.
The condition, the soil, the way that they're nurtured is specifically for the who that they are.
That's good.
And that comes straight from God. And so you need to seek God in whatever you're trying to nourish your spouse with, rather than laying upon them your personal expectations that will leave them malnourished and overwhelmed.
Yeah. That last part will leave them malnourished. Woo!
Yeah.
That is powerful. That is powerful. So look, a couple things, because we're not going to keep y'all forever tonight, but we do want to just recap real quick tonight. Tonight we came in here and we're having a conversation.
Talk about
just sharing with you that love is not enough. So we gave you 3 specific things just to help your relationship. We said you got to be selfish. You got to be selfish. We know that even sounds bad, but it's not a bad thing. It's really about self-care and being able to take yourself seriously and do the things that you need to do to have your tank full. If your tank can be full, then you can take people to the places that they need to be. If your tank is empty, guess what? Everybody is going to be stuck. The second thing that we said
was that you have to be fully engaged, not just when there's a problem, there's an issue, but all the time show up and be present for your spouse.
And then finally, we said you got to release people from your expectations. When you have people just walking on eggshells because you continue to give them your expectations, all you do is breed tension. All you do is breed frustration. But there is freedom when you can release people from your expectations and allow them to rest, allow them to thrive, and allow them to be all that God has for them as they are walking out God's expectations. So those are the 3 things that we were speaking about on today.
And so we know that you want to get the maximum out of your relationship. So we hope you'll try to implement some of the things that we shared this evening about these 3 tips to get all that you can out of what God has given you in your spouse. So you work them out, and we want you to share them.
Yeah, definitely.
Share them with somebody. Share them with a younger couple. Share them with someone who's been together for a while, because there is value in all of these things.
That's it. So listen, we hope that tonight you found value in what we do here on the Edge Life 7 podcast. If you did, make sure you share this out with somebody. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We are on a journey to 1,000 YouTube subscribers.
Come on,
and
y'all.
if you have not hit that subscribe button and that bell notification, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification and share it out.
And if you're like most, you probably have more than one YouTube account because you didn't realize how important that would be going forward in your life.
Come on,
So
somebody.
like it on all your accounts. Hey, it ain't cheating. It's real.
That's it. Well, look, we appreciate y'all. We will be back here next week, 8 o'clock, same
That's
time,
right.
same back channel. And we want you to be here with us. It's the Edge Life 7 podcast. Y'all take care. Be easy. Peace.
Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.